Why do we hold these meditation sessions? There are many reasons, and today I would like to go into 3 of them. First, the meetings serve as an encouragement for our own personal practice. Secondly, they open us to the possibility of an inner awakening. And thirdly, the meetings provide additional ideas and pointers drawn from many sources which can deepen our knowledge of what meditation is all about. So first, we need encouragement, and many of us do get this from a group environment. It is not always easy to get our practice launched on a daily basis, as we are recommended to do. All of us, to some extent, are shaped by our habits and are constrained by certain routines. Chances are these limitations don't allow us to make time for stillness and silence, so it seems. Now, to get the best out of meditation means getting the best out of ourselves. And to do this, we do need to set aside a little time for our practice every day. It's not just a question of routine. There must be a kind of thirst, a feeling of need for this deeper inner communion, for freeing our mind from the concerns and cares that often keep us in a state of stress and tension. So we need to look on the practice as a much needed means of relief. This doesn't mean permanent withdrawal from life into some ideal realm, but it does mean to cultivate the capacity for short periods of withdrawal. In other words, using our willpower to take charge more directly of our time. In fact, in a certain sense, we already recognize this need to be able to stop thinking about certain things. Do we not say to each other, "Don't worry, no problem, cheer up"? But how can we really free ourselves from worry, problems, and gloominess unless we have some technique for influencing the inner world of our thoughts? Meditation equips us with that skill. But this is such a great capacity that we do need to train ourselves every day to awaken this higher potentiality of the mind. And these meetings keep these practical facts before us. The second reason for these presentations is that the teachings are meant to open us to the possibility of an inner awakening. They remind us that our quest is ultimately for self-knowledge. And the deepest self-knowledge is the deepest joy. The self we need to know about is the innermost essence of our being. It is deeper than the personal self or personality that seems to characterize us in life. You remember that the word personality originally comes from the Greek persona, meaning an actor's mask. This suggests that our personality in many ways hides or covers our deeper self. We may say, my value is in my personality, not in this so-called deeper self or individuality. But by deeper self, we mean something more substantial than individuality. The true center of our being is not limited at all by time, space, our body, or our mind. This is the eternal, infinite, transcendent core of our being. And these teachings throw light on this ultimate self-principle. And because it is our own self they are pointing to, the teachings will prompt an echo of recognition to awaken within us in due time. For none of us can be entirely without knowledge of our own hidden nature and depth. But our knowledge of this dimension of our being is partial and subject to misinterpretation. So the true significance of our higher nature needs to be explained in order to help us prepare for its full recognition and realization. The same point, that there is something sublime at the foundation of our being, is indicated in lines of the poet Wordsworth. Our birth is but a sleep and a forgetting. The soul that rises with us, our life's star, hath had elsewhere its setting, and cometh from afar. Not in entire forgetfulness, and not in utter nakedness, but trailing clouds of glory do we come from God, who is our home. The poet seems to be trying to express something of the specialness of our being, that reality which lies behind the persona. For this mask of personality so often induces us to forget our true being and focus on externals. But friends, is the poet right when he says this element of our being comes from far away, cometh from afar? No, he is not right at all. The non-dual teachings make it very clear that nothing could be nearer to us than this deeper reality. It is our own immediate being and consciousness, our I. The non-dual meditations always remind us of this aspect of our nature. They urge us, as it were, have faith, inquire, affirm. It is true. The third reason for holding these meetings is our chance to share with you or suggest to you further ideas and pointers that can help us in our higher quest. These are insights found in the teachings and writings of those who themselves show an awareness of our true value as human beings. This value is based on the fact that our life is rooted in a deeper reality, that we have a higher destiny, and that our practice, based on cultivating inner peace, will create the conditions that allow this inner light to manifest. Regarding this, here is a story which is found in the Sufi sources, and it comes in the writings of both Rumi and Al-Ghazali. It tells of the need for inner work to free the mind and make it a clear mirror in which the inner light and peace may be reflected. A certain king arranged a painting contest. The artists in 2 groups were given special rooms opposite each other. One of the groups called for more and more colors. The other group asked for nothing. Both groups worked in silent absorption until the work was completed. The king came to see the results. First, he looked at the painting of those who kept asking for more and more colors, and he was wonderstruck at the beauty of what they had achieved. Then he turned to the other wall, which was now unveiled. It had not been painted at all, but cleaned and polished so perfectly that the wall shone like a mirror. And in that mirror was reflected the first painting, but with greater depth, beauty, and luminosity. This is like the mind that works on itself through meditation and other practices. It becomes a reflector of the eternal wisdom and reveals the true nature of the ultimate self. This is something beyond intellectual knowledge, signified by the accumulation of the colors. It is the knowledge revealed in inner purity and quiescence. So let's now apply the wisdom method hinted at in the story. And we do this by turning to our practices. Our aim is to create serenity of mind. For it is in serenity that the highest in us will manifest. And for those of you who came to our course in Copenhagen on Saturday, we will be carrying on with the practices we did together there. So please adjust your posture. Let us now turn our attention within in reverence and gratitude for this great opportunity for inner growth and unfoldment. And we'll do this for a minute or two. Our next practice is one of stilling the mind with the help of a breathing exercise. We breathe consciously and a little more deeply than usual, through the nose if possible. And as you are breathing in this way, say to yourself inwardly, peace. Know that your own deeper nature is peace, and in peace of mind, we open ourselves to the influence of that deeper peace. If thoughts arise, remain calmly focused on the conscious breathing and feel that the breath itself has the power to dissolve the thoughts. So let us do the practice together now for about 4 minutes. Breathe consciously and a little more deeply than usual, if possible through the nose. Establish a rhythm. As you are breathing in this way, say to yourself, peace, peace, Om. Conscious breathing. peace, peace. A few more rounds. Our next practice is one of focusing the mind, and we do this with the help of a visualization. Draw an imaginary line of light from the top of the forehead down to the navel. Imagine this line to be a line of light within you and concentrate on it. This line of light is to be imagined inwardly as the central channel within the body. We can think of this line of light as a dimension of our inner being, which is free from thoughts, pure, undisturbed, a haven of peace and purity. We can also think of it as a pointer to the highest in us, the light behind the mind. If we find ourselves distracted, we can clear our mind of distractions as in the first practice by using our conscious breathing or by saying to the uninvited thoughts, "Not now, not now." Use your authority over your own thoughts. You are in charge. And then bring your concentration back to the line of light. Now, what kind of light should we imagine? Friends, it's up to you. We can picture the line as it might appear in nature. But the practice is to imagine inwardly this central line of radiance and rest our attention on it. So let's now concentrate on the line of light for about 5 minutes. Om. an imaginary line of light from the top of the forehead to the navel. Imagine this line to be a line of light and concentrate on it. Radiating light. Take a few deep breaths if needed. Once more, bring your mind back to the visualization of the line of light within you. Our next practice we've called transcending the mind, and it is to meditate on a text taken from the pure non-dual teachings. With practice, we will find that it is a means of transcending the mind. It is this: my mind rests in contemplation of the ever-shining light in my soul. That light am I. So what does it mean when we say, my mind rests? It is a rest from our usual train of thoughts. We take a rest from them, just for these few minutes. Where do we rest? Where is the only true place of rest in this changing world? Yes, it is our deeper self, the self which always underlies our mind and from which our mind gets its power and appearance of independent life. What again is the nature of this self? Its nature is peace and light. It is the original light of our consciousness, the true self, the true I. When the mind is quietened, something of this great light of I, self, will be reflected in the mind. So we say, that light am I. What we need to do is to hold this thought in our mind so that it goes deeper. And we do this by slowly repeating the text to ourselves, allowing it to influence and transform our inner being. Let us meditate together now for about 6 minutes. My mind rests in contemplation of the ever-shining light in my soul. That light am I. Om. My mind rests in contemplation of the ever-shining light in my soul. That light am I. Om. the ever-shining light in my soul. That light am I. Bring your mind back to the text. The ever-shining light. We all live in the light of the higher consciousness, which is one in all. And we have the means to awaken within ourselves the direct knowledge of this underlying unity. In fact, every time when we do the inner work of polishing, so to say, our mind, we are adding to the peace and upliftment of all, not only ourselves. So let us end our meeting by sending out thoughts of peace and goodwill to all without exception. And we spend a minute or two in this way. Thank you for your attention and participation.